coming to you live for the Built Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason and Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are on the free Odyssey app. Good Tuesday morning. The Yankees dominant yesterday. Juan Soto, Anthony Volpe as they continue to roll. Nestor Cortez with a phenomenal performance. And the Mets shockingly, and yes, I mean it, shockingly come back and beat the Atlanta Braves after being down 4-0, fighting back. It seemed like they were going to blow this lead. Couple of balls to the warning track that you thought was going to break their hearts, but no, they got it done, and they were gutsy and resilient, and they are on a little bit of a positive run. And congratulations to the Yukon Huskies. Boomer is the epicenter of college basketball. Men's college basketball resides in Storrs, Connecticut, back-to-back champions. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Hey, good morning, man. And, yeah, I can't believe all the good news we have going on around here. Maybe it was the eclipse yesterday. I don't know. But with Yukon, it just goes to show you that defense does win championships, just like it did South Carolina on Sunday afternoon, shutting down the best players in their respective sports and collectively winning as a team. And the Yukon guards were amazing last night. They just completely shut down the Purdue guards. It's defense wins championships. Ultimately, you got to put the ball in the hoop, of course. But if you make it tough on the other team, much like Yukon and South Carolina both did in the championship games, it's no reason why those two teams are. I guess there's no confusion as to why those two teams are the best two teams in college basketball. And by the way, Danny Hurley's not going anywhere.
No.
The Storrs is his place, and he said a very funny thing after the game last night. He goes, I move any further away from New Jersey, the divorce is going to cost me more than the contract is.
Yeah.
So he was pretty funny about that. But, in regards to possibly going to Kentucky. But that was a clinic last night. Their entire season had been a clinic, and the toughest game that they had in the last 6 weeks was that game against St. John's in the Big East tournament.
Yep. And you think about St. John's on the outside looking in. Would have been nice to see them in. Maybe they would have made a run. But, Yukon and also Seton Hall, who beat Yukon this year, also not in the tournament.
It's kind of funny. I did that Frank the Tank walk yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And, he's all over Shaheen Holloway.
Loves him, hates him.
Loves him. And
I was going to say, you never know with Frank.
No, I know, believe me. But no, it was good. It was a very nice walk, although he was tormenting me in a number of different ways. But I will say that he brought up something that I was like, wow, maybe that is a possibility. Shaheen Holloway to Kentucky.
Really?
And he's like, I don't want Kentucky stealing Shaheen Holloway. And I didn't even think about that. I was thinking Billy Donovan. I was thinking Rick Pitino. I was thinking Rick's son.
If Rick Pitino went.
He's not going anywhere.
I mean, come on. Well, I think Nate Oates is the guy. It seems like Nate Oates at Alabama.
Yeah, but I don't think he's, leaving Alabama, man, and going to Kentucky. That's a tough one.
It's not football. It's basketball, man.
But it's still the SEC. That's a tough one.
It's Kentucky. It's one of those blue blood programs,
but,
man.
He's got it going on at Alabama right now. I could just see him going up there and saying, I love where I work. I love the people I work for. I respect and love this university. Now give me more money and I'll stay.
Yeah. I mean, you saw some of these guys for years and years and years turn down the big jobs in college basketball. Before Shaka Smart went to Texas, he was there at VCU and was turning down jobs all over the place. Greg Marshall, who was at Wichita State before he got himself in trouble, was offered all sorts of jobs, and they didn't want to take that big program job because they were in these mid-majors and they were successful getting into the tournament and having success. I wonder if the same thing happens with Kentucky here, where it's just like, I'm happy where I'm at. I don't need the pressure of that place. John Calipari, really didn't. He won one championship there, but he didn't really get it done to their standards. Do I want to go into that? Do I want to drop myself into that pot?
I'm just telling you, with the nil money and with all of these collectives going on and everything else, I would just say that knowing and living there for over 10 years and being around that program in Cincinnati, it is one of the most pressurized jobs there is in American sports. I would put it in a top 10 job description would be the head coach at UK basketball. It is by far. Now, you have resources all over the place, and you play in Rupp Arena that is sold out every game. It is a passion like like Alabama football has been under Nick Saban, like LSU football has been. I mean, it is passionate. It is insane. It's like Ohio State, Michigan when it comes to football. It's every year is the same thing. And, pressure is a privilege, I always say, and you get paid a lot of money. But I would just say to a guy like Danny Hurley, who's not going to even entertain something like this, going to a school like that, while it is great, it comes with a lot of pressure, and that pressure gets ugly if you lose.
Yeah, and there's this video out there, I don't know if you've seen it yet this morning, of John Calipari walking his dog, but not really walking his dog. The dog's walking itself. It's not on a leash, but he's pushing a doggy stroller that doesn't have the dog in it, while a member of the local news comes up to him on the sidewalk. Hey, Coach, you got anything to say to the UK fans about you leaving? He's like, nope, walking my dog. Just walking my dog here.
I saw it.
He goes, my dog's walking. It's the most awkward thing I've ever seen.
They know where you live. They know where you shop. They know the restaurants you go to. They
know where you're pushing an empty dog stroller.
Not saying that Rick Pitino can disappear, because I don't think Rick Pitino can disappear here because he's a local guy and everything else. But there are a million places you could go and get away from it if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
In Kentucky and Lexington, there's no place you can go. I mean, it's the job. There's no question about it. And it is a prestigious job for sure. But I would just buyer beware, man, because it is a hotbed of basketball fanaticism.
Yeah, and, one thing about Danny Hurley, and you're right, he's not going anywhere. He's built a basketball dynasty at this point in a place that had such a rich history, and also there's pressure to bring them back there and win, and he's done that. I mean, I think he's a great example of how that intense, in-your-face, demanding coach can still work in collegiate athletics. I mean, we hear this all the time about how you have to treat these guys with kid gloves. He does not. I mean, he's found a way to earn that respect and get these guys to play as hard as possible while being in their face and intense.
Do you think Dawn Staley she's the same way?
Well, yeah,
she's the same way.
Right.
I mean, like these people have been great basketball players, have come from great basketball tradition, have been around winning basketball their entire lives, and they know that it takes a unwavering commitment to become great. If you want to be good, fine. Be good somewhere else. If you want to be great, then come here. And it's not about the back of your jersey. It is about the front of your jersey. And I think coaches have been preaching that for years and years and years and years and years. And maybe one of the reasons why Nick Saban and Mike Krzyzewski and guys that, come from that ilk did not want to deal with, 8 people coming into his office after the season was over, in the case of Nick Saban, saying, oh, hey, by the way, Coach, we just lost, one of the Final Four games here. And by the way, we need more money or we're going into the transfer portal. I mean, so that's really what's going on here. I think with a lot of these older coaches, I think obviously Dawn and Dan are going to stay for a long time, I would think. But that's how they run their programs, and good for them.
Yeah, and everybody's using the transfer portal. It's just how you use it. And obviously, Yukon was able to use it to their advantage, getting a kid from Rutgers, Texas A&M, having them fit in perfectly. I mean, it's not just about the talent. I mean, it's also it's sort of like it's free agency every year, and you need to make sure that you're getting the guy who really wants to win, as opposed to the guy that's maybe chasing the most money from the collective at whatever school.
Well, I told you that Michael O'Connell, Jamie O'Connell's nephew, went to Stanford from Chaminade, played, I think, 3 years at Stanford, graduated from Stanford, I believe, and then was offered a deal to go to NC State and become their point guard. And he did, and he took it, and he got them all the way to the Final Four. Was a part of one of the reasons, not just him, of course, but that's the way these teams, if you pluck the right kids and find the right guys and the guys that have the, that itch inside of them to go to the next level. And the next level is what we saw last night. And that's exactly what Danny Hurley has been able to do since he got to Yukon. Remember when he first got to Yukon? Take us lightly now, that's fine. But in due time, I'm going to change this thing. And he has certainly lived up to that comment.
I'm pretty sure it was almost the exact line of, you better get us now because we're coming. And he was right about that. Boy, did he back that up. And now you've got back-to-back national championships. And he is someone that is, I mean, he does. I hope he can enjoy this for a couple of days, but he seems like one of those guys that like goes into the locker room after hoisting the trophy and then gets on a phone with a recruit or someone in the transfer portal. He seems like that type of guy.
Yeah, but imagine the national championship coach, whether it be Dawn or whether it be Dan, and they end up calling you right after their team has just won because they're already thinking about the next couple of years.
Yeah.
And but that's why they win. They're relentless. They are committed to their craft. And that's that psycho gene, the coach thing. Like I never had that. You know, my buddy Frank Reich had that.
Yeah.
I got going on that golf trip with him. I was like, you got to be like somewhat relaxed finally.
Was he?
Yes, he was.
Oh, good. That's good to hear.
Yes, he was. It was like, okay, that's my guy. That was my college roommate.
Yeah, and then that's what I say about all these guys who have coached for so long or been around it. I'm like, well, don't you just want to relax because they're going back into the media or becoming a consultant or this or that? Don't you just want to relax? So it makes me feel good that Frank, for the time being, is relaxing.
Do you think that Rob Saleh and Brian Daboll right now are relaxed or comfortable?
Brian Daboll, certainly not. Rob Saleh, I could see him being relaxed.
No.
Depending on where he is.
They're not. Believe me, they're not.
He plays a lot of golf in the spring and summer.
No, you can get off the golf course and have that pit in his stomach. That pit never leaves your stomach. And when you are a coach and you are responsible for so many guys and and the expectations are off the chart, and when you look at who spent the most money in the offseason, who's doing all the free agent bidding and the players that they bring in, you know, the fan bases have these expectations that if you don't live up to, you're gone. You're gone. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, and you've seen the biggest names fall victim to that. And because, I mean, John Calipari could talk all he wants about, and he hasn't really addressed anything yet about how, you know, it's his time to leave. I mean, he was probably going to get fired. I mean, you know, enough was enough. It was stale there for him. They weren't getting the job done, and they were irrelevant for what Kentucky should be. They just weren't. They weren't the Kentucky that fan base needed it to be, and he was going to leave one way or another.
I don't follow it that closely, but most of the stuff that I've read about what has gone on at Kentucky is that John has done it the old-fashioned way, try to recruit the young kids and play with one-and-dones, as where some of these other schools have, you know, done the transfer portal, have brought in the 3 or the 4 year player for a couple of years, and they have won with the older player and the more experienced player.
Yeah, we were talking about Aaron Estrada, who left Hofstra to go to Alabama, and we said, wow, you know, Speedy Claxton let him go. He said, you should go do this. But one thing we didn't take into account at the time we were talking about that was all the money he got paid to go there.
Well, I think that's why Speedy told him.
Yeah. I mean,
we can't pay you this kind of money. If you can get that kind of money, you got to go get it.
Yeah. $100,000 plus whatever it was. Who knows?
Whatever it was, go get it and go play and look how far they went.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I thought it was good, but, you know, whatever. Now, this whole Yankee thing, right?
Yeah.
This Anthony Volpe is amazing. He's off to an amazing start, and all we heard about all offseason was about how he was working on this swing. And we've been talking about it now for about, 10 days? What are they, 9-2 right now?
Yes.
And you saw it in spring training, and he's carried it right on into the regular season here. And he hits a bomb last night and gets the Yankees off and running. And if this kid is going to continue, he can't continue at this torrid pace. We know that. But the fact of the matter is that he is no longer a hole in the Yankee lineup.
No, I mean, he's the biggest asset they have right now, maybe other than Juan Soto with his production so far this season. And every time you evaluate one of these teams going into the season, it's all a lot of ifs. If this guy could do this, if that guy could do that. How many times do we talk about the Knicks prior, you know, if Emmanuel quickly could take it, if R.J. Barrett could, you always talk about these young guys, if Francisco Alvarez could take that next step, and Volpe's been one of those guys. And so far in the first 11 games of the season, I mean, he looks like a different player.
Yes.
Now, he's not going to finish the year hitting 450, but the things he's doing, I believe, are sustainable. And this isn't one of those things where nobody has a book on him yet. He had an entire year last year, and he's come back. He's more relaxed. He's in command at the plate. He's taking walks. He's not swinging at bad pitches. And he really, really looks like what he's doing now is in no way a fluke and will continue throughout the year.
Well, the difference last year was he was the shortstop of the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
Think about pressure position. And, he was trying to fight his way through it, wanted to hit a home run every time he was up there. I remember listening to those guys, the post game and talking about his swings and all these different types of things. And then all of a sudden, now this year he comes back. He's more relaxed. You can see it. You can see the way that he's playing in the field. You can see the way that he's in the batter's box. He's probably watched Juan Soto very closely about looking for pitches and, the length of the lineup. Now, all these things that we always talk about in baseball, right now at the Yankees, they play the Marlins. They're horrendous. But right now the Yankees are doing everything we thought they were supposed to do. But it always comes down to one thing for the Yankees. Are they going to win the World Series? I mean, enjoy the season, because I'll tell you what, watching the hockey team that I root for and watching like Alexei Lafreniere become the Anthony Volpe of the Rangers, continue to grow and grow and grow into one of their better players. It's finally nice to see a young player that you develop, you have patience with, and you all of a sudden watch him play and you see, okay, those are the skills that we expected when we drafted him.
Yeah, and the biggest issue for the Yankees in the postseason the last number of years when they've fallen short is that there's not enough run production in the playoffs. And, with Volpe hitting like this consistently, with Juan Soto in that lineup, I mean, and Verdugo, someone he's not going to light the world on fire offensively, but he's a battler and he'll take a lot of pitches. I mean, they have now a lineup that is better suited for grinding through the playoffs than they have had in a number of years. And you just hope that continues. And then also, I mean, Nestor Cortes, who had a couple of starts where he got off in the first couple innings to the miserable start, was awesome. Absolutely tremendous last night, going deep into the game. And that's another great sign for the Yankees. So, yeah, this is about as good of a start as you could possibly have. And it's amazing. Like, the one day that really stunk for them was opening day. That was like the one day that really stunk.
Before that and since then, they've been on fire. And then, of course, the Mets go on the road, and all the Mets do now, getting away from all this negativity, is win games. And how they won that game last night, and with 2 home runs from Brandon Nimmo, guys are finally starting to hit. Although Lindor is not hitting just yet, but the fact that some of the few of these other veteran players are starting to show up and hit and win a game where they're honoring, Hank Aaron, was very satisfying, because I did not see the end of the game. I fell asleep.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you that knowing that they had a 2-run lead in the bottom of the ninth and they hung on for dear life.
Well, I mean, it was just scary as hell, too, if you think about the Tyrone Taylor catch in left field where I thought that ball was gone, and then Travis d'Arnaud, who had a big hit earlier, drives one to the warning track in the ninth. So it was just one of those, like, hanging on by your fingertips on the cliff. But they were able to do it. And when you're down 4-0 in Atlanta with the way that they'd been hitting, I was like, all right, this game is cooked. They're done. But nope, not last night. And Jerry Recco's going to have all the highlights for you coming up in his first update.